Hello and welcome. In this video we're taking a look at two SDS rotary hammer drills from Parkside. It's worth noting that both of these are part of the Parkside Performance range, so they both feature brushless motors and run on 20-volt batteries. First up we've got the C4 version, which I've had for a while. It's rated at 3 joules of impact energy, and you can see a video of it going up against the D4 version on the channel too. And this is the brand new A1 model, which comes in at 1.9 joules. Oh, and a small bonus, the new A1 version includes one more drill bit in the box compared to the C4. Looking at the specs on the boxes, the stated impact rates are pretty much identical between the two. Most of the drilling capacities are also very similar. The main difference is the maximum drilling capacity for concrete. The 3 joule model tops out at 24mm, while the newer 1.9 joule version is rated for up to 22mm. Alright then. Let's unbox this new version and see if it actually is any good. My immediate first impression is that I really like the new smaller form factor, and this new button here designed to lock the trigger in the always on position is a great feature to have. Simple, but yet really useful. Switching back to my C4 SDS drill, I can definitely feel the extra weight, because it's around 400 grams heavier than the new model, which comes in at around 2.5 kilos, while the C4 is closer to 2.9. And that's just the bare tools. For this part of the video though, I'll be testing both with a fully charged 4-amp battery each. And now with the batteries attached and both tools side by side, you can really see the size difference. Alright, now let's get into some testing. Starting with a basic drill test in concrete. The new tool has just one speed setting, so there's nothing to adjust. I'm using a fully charged 4-amp battery and a 5mm drill bit. I'll be doing the same with the C4 version, however it'll start off in speed 2. And I'll keep it there for as long as it can handle it. And before you ask why the more powerful drill is set to a higher speed, here's the answer. Why wouldn't you use a faster setting if the tool can handle it? Let's be honest, that's exactly what most of us would do at home. So that's how I'm running it in this test. So with that, for the 5mm drill test, the new tool is about 6 seconds slow. Now's a great time to hit that subscribe button and give the video a like if you're finding it helpful. And feel free to drop a comment down below, because I'd love to know your thoughts on these tools. Moving on to the 6mm drill bit now, and just a reminder, the C4 is still running in speed 2. As expected, the lack of a higher gear is definitely holding the new tool back a bit. That said, even though it has less power, it didn't bog down as much as I thought it would. And even while drilling straight down, I could definitely feel the difference in weight. In the end, less power and no second gear meant the new tool was about 8 seconds slower than the larger model. Now it's time for the 8mm drill bit. The larger model is still holding on to its faster second gear, but the smaller tool is putting up a fight, and I'm sure you can see that on screen. And how about that? It looks like the higher gear on the bigger drill is starting to lose its edge. The new tool was still a bit slower, but only by about 5 seconds this time. And now up to a 10mm drill bit. And this marks the upper limit for the C4's second gear in this test. It performed well up to this point, but now that it's starting to stall, it's time to switch it over to gear 1 for the next round of drilling. And it's still a really close race. The less powerful tool is only about 6 seconds behind. Those were just the warm-up drill bits, and now it's time to step things up with a 12mm one, which is also 26 centimeters long. These are both DIY budget tools, so let's be realistic. We're not expecting miracles. With that said, both drills took over a minute to get the job done. But here's the real surprise. The smaller, less powerful tool actually beat the 3 joule C4, which I was running in speed 1, and it did that with a 20-second lead. But as soon as I reached for the 14mm drill bit, also 26 centimeters long, the raw power of the larger tool put it back in the lead. The more powerful C4 version did win, but I'd say it only just scraped by, because the difference was just 10 seconds in the end. And let's be honest, when one drill takes 100 seconds and the other one takes 110, is that really a deal breaker? Personally, I'd rather go with a lighter, more compact tool if I have to hold it for that long anyway. So now I'm in a bit of a tough spot because you're probably expecting some clear advice on which one you should choose. And once again, we've got the 3 joule C4 model on the right and the newer 1.9 joule A1 model on the left. But based on everything we've seen so far, the choice really isn't that straightforward. For smaller jobs such as drilling with 5, 6, 8 or 10mm drill bits, the C4 model does get the job done faster, and that's thanks to its second gear. But it's also noticeably heavier. On the other hand, the new version is lighter and easier to handle, though it takes a bit longer to get the job done. So if you're mainly working with smaller bits, I'd say go with whichever one feels more comfortable to you. It's a trade-off either way, speed versus weight. Now, here's where things get even more interesting when we move up to the larger 12 and 14mm drill bits, which are also much longer. For these, I had to drop the C4 model down to speed 1. As for the newer model, well, it only has one speed, so no adjustments were needed. Now, you'd expect the more powerful C4 to be the better choice here, but with its extra weight and the need to keep the trigger pressed for long periods, it actually became a bit uncomfortable to use. Meanwhile, the new version may not have the same power, but this locking trigger button, that's a total game changer for an SDS drill like this. Because even though it's slower, all you really have to do is hold it steady and it just keeps drilling away. Combine that with the lighter weight and it actually feels much more comfortable for longer tasks. So yeah, it feels a bit strange to say this, but when it comes to these larger drill bits, I'm leaning towards the less powerful version, because it just might be the more practical choice. But there's one more thing that we need to test on this new model. Something it's not really designed for, but let's be honest, if it has a hammer-only mode, someone will use it for demolition work when no other tool is available. So let's stick a chisel on the front of it and see how it handles some light demolition. Okay, let me say this again. This isn't the right tool for demolition work. There are other tools made specifically for that. But with that said, it really doesn't feel underpowered compared to the larger 3 joule Parkside models. In fact, the lower vibrations actually make it more comfortable to use. So if you ever find yourself in an emergency, say demolishing your neighbor's bathtub at 2 AM, this thing will definitely get the job done. Now, the conclusion to this video is actually more complicated than I ever expected. I went into this thinking the new model would be completely underpowered, but for light demolition work, I can't say that it's lacking in the power department. In fact, it holds up surprisingly well, and performance-wise, it's basically on par with the 3 joule model. What really pushes it over the edge for me is the trigger lock button. That single feature makes the whole experience a lot more comfortable. Just lock it on and hold it over whatever you're working on. Now, it doesn't have a second speed, and that might be a drawback for some of you, especially for smaller drilling tasks. But all things considered, lower weight, solid performance, and that trigger lock, I'm honestly leaning towards the new model as the better overall SDS drill. And trust me, I'm just as surprised as you are. For a tool category where power usually decides everything, I'm leaning towards the less powerful version. But for DIY work, it really feels like the best mix of power, size, and versatility. Up to this point, I've been using 4 amp batteries on both drills, and now they're both down to their last bar. So before I fully recommend the newer, less powerful model, there's one more test to run. I'm swapping in 8 amp hour batteries on both tools for this final round. The plan here is to drill holes using the 14mm drill bit, and then I'll break out my new Thermal Master thermal imaging camera to see which drill runs hotter. And don't worry, there'll be a full review of that camera coming soon to the channel. With the hole drilled, the thermal camera shows the hottest part of the tool reaching nearly 45 degrees. Now let's switch over and see how the new model compares. Same task, and while the C-Force motor hit 44.6 degrees, the new A1 model came in cooler at 39.3 degrees. That's a difference of more than 5 degrees, and I'd call that substantial. I'd love to read your thoughts on these in the comments below. But for me, considering its low weight, solid performance, and now lower running temperatures, the new A1 1.9 Joule Parkside Performance SDS drill really stands out. So I've got to call this one the winner. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, here are 2 more you might want to check out next.